Thank you, Pierre. A lot of us in this room are products of not only years of experience, but also the experiences of those around us, those we work with. In some cases, mentors who believed in us, invested time in us. But we've all benefited from seasoned veterans in our newsrooms who have seen and covered so much. We share their knowledge, they offer their counsel, and who know what it is that's so vital about what we do and why journalism matters. And they keep our journalistic compass pointed in the right direction. We have a name for that person at NBC News. We call him Tom Brokaw. And every newsroom would be lucky to have one. Tom, of course, was a longtime anchor of NBC Nightly News, but I bet the title he's most proud of is reporter. He reminds all of us that being in the field and telling stories is the heart of our calling as journalists, and that the news is not about us. At Nightly News, we rely on Tom for his ability to bring clarity and a smart perspective to complicated issues of our time, to cut through the noise. I've certainly relied on his counsel and friendship as I've transitioned into my new role at the network over the last year, and for that I am grateful. Tom is a staunch defender of what we do as journalists and our freedom to pursue the story. I'm grateful that you're celebrating him tonight and his body of work. And before we bring him to the stage to accept his award, let me share a little more about Tom's illustrious career and what he means to all of us.
This is Tom Brokaw reporting.
I remember watching Tom when I was a teenager. He was covering the White House.
Tom Brokaw, NBC News at the White House.
And he was a role model even then.
Good evening from Tokyo.
The Panama Canal.
Mogadishu, Somalia. Good evening from Baghdad.
We've been through a lot together, through dark days and nights and seasons of hope and joy. Whatever the story, I had only one objective: to get it right.
As journalists, our mission, of course, is to shine light in dark places and to be the voice for the voiceless. For us, we look to the Reporters Committee for Freedom of the Press to keep government accountable and to preserve the principles of free speech and unfettered press as guaranteed by the First Amendment. To be honored by this organization is certainly high praise for any of us who work in it. There is no one better suited for this honor than Tom Brokaw.
Good evening, live from the Berlin Wall on the most historic night in this wall's history.
Speaking to Tom Brokaw is like taking a history lesson.
One of the most historic and significant events of the 20th century.
He has been there for so many of the pivotal moments.
How many survived out of your boat?
2.
The great floods of 1993 are beginning to look like a war zone. Tonight, America is at war with terrorists after a stunning series of attacks today.
Every time I sit down and have an informal conversation with them, I come away with a new lesson about American history, about world history.
I was a white working class kid from South Dakota. I didn't have the greatest talent in the world. I was pretty good at what I did. And my life has been one interrupted success story after another. I worked my way from Sioux City, Iowa, to the anchor chair of Nightly News.
He was there at the heart of the civil rights movement, Watergate, Tiananmen Square. He's interviewed the Dalai Lama, Mikhail Gorbachev, Nelson Mandela. He has sat down with every president since Richard Nixon. So much of Tom's career has been covering politics. It's clearly his passion. He's covered so many monumental elections in American history, and he helps us put it in perspective.
Let's go to NBC's Lester Holt now, who's...
Tom has been and remains the senior statesman at NBC News. He is a voice that many of us, myself included, rely on. How does that play out to the rest of the night?
Well, you know, what we've seen in the last 3 days is...
We all rely on him for his wisdom, his insight, and certainly his perspective. There's a little mixture of awe and professional respect because of what he continues to offer me. Tom, you are an absolute gem. All of your colleagues here at NBC News have such a depth of respect and love for you, for all you have done and all you continue to contribute. You are so deserving of this honor tonight, and we say congratulations. Ladies and gentlemen, Tom Brokaw.
Thank you all very much.
And this is, I'll just hold it there. I think I want to get pictures. I want the pictures right here. There we go.
I'll take that to the ranch and fill it up with margaritas, first opportunity that I get. First of all, I want to apologize. I had to interrupt the program a little bit because I'm leaving on a later flight this evening to head to Europe. But a lot of people, when I said I had to get out there early, thought, well, he's now 76, he has to go home and have some soft food and get to bed early. That's why he's doing this. It is quite remarkable to come from the part of the world that I did and the family that I came from and to watch that. It's the fulfillment of dreams that I might have had when I was 16 or 17. I was pretty bold, but I could not have imagined the opportunities that would come my way and continue to. But at the same time, that I feel not just like a lucky guy, I feel privileged because I got to be a journalist in this country, protected by the First Amendment. And I worked with all of you, beginning in Sioux City, Iowa, Omaha, Atlanta, Los Angeles, and then around the world. Americans take journalism so seriously that it is one of the coveted professions yet for young people rising up through the ranks. Now, we are going through a historic transition. When I began, journalism was really a kind of two-part beast. It was broadcast journalism, radio and television, and print journalism, newspapers and magazines. Then the world exploded, beginning with Ted Turner and cable television. And stop and think about what we're dealing with now. The digital universe knows no bounds. There are real journalists within the digital universe. There are a lot of wannabes as well, and pretenders, and sometimes it's hard to sort them out. There are those journalists, they describe themselves as that, whose sole purpose in life is to attack what most of us in this room do on a daily basis, to work hard at getting it right, and to try to be even-handed in how we cover it. These are the ideological missionaries for various parts of the political spectrum, operating under the false guise, in my judgment, of being journalists. But we can't be distracted by them. In this chaotic time of this political season, we have to stay true to our mission. And that mission is to provide the American people every day with a clear, coherent, and factual account of what is going on. And from time to time, after you've developed some seniority, you can also give them an idea of what the consequences may be if one part or the other begins to prevail. I'm able to do that now, but of course, I find myself quickly the target of a lot of derision from those people who call themselves journalists. The Sunday after Donald Trump said, yes, I did see thousands of Muslims celebrating in New Jersey. I don't care what anybody else says. I said on Meet the Press, it's a flat lie. It did not happen. And I felt entitled to say that, not only because I was a reporter who knew what was going on, but I had a certain standing in life. I don't pay a lot of attention to what was said about me on the internet and on the blogospheres, but I wanted to show my friends and my family the world in which we're operating. There was this cascade of comments. Brokaw, crawl back under the rock. You don't know what you're talking about. So the pursuit of the truth, the pursuit of facts now is more complex than it has ever been. And that means that we have to be ever more true to the calling that we each feel here. Now, having said that, I've got to be a little bit careful because I was at Ole Miss over the weekend for the commencement address, and I opened at the Grove by saying I was so relieved to be at Ole Miss because if I were giving a commencement address at Alabama, I would have to use shorter words and smaller sentences. There is now a circular in Alabama with my face on it saying, wanted. And I finally went on Morning Joe this morning and said, it was a joke, folks. It's okay. It was a joke. But we've got to also remember to be fearless, to remember that journalism is a robust profession and that we can have fun with it from time to time. I'm a big fan of political cartoonists. I think they're an important part of the spectrum that we engage in every day, because they can find the essence of what's going on with just a few line strokes. And so you gather here tonight honoring a great organization and some people who have given their life to it. I'm privileged to be a part of this honor. But it's more than just one night. This work goes on day in and day out. It goes on, beginning with the excellence of the work that we do, work that we can defend, work that upholds the great traditions of American journalism. Founding fathers gave us the First Amendment, and they did that with good reason, because they knew that the future of this country would depend on the free flow of information and the exchange of ideas. And everyone in this room is a part of that, and it's been my privilege to spend most of my life doing just that. So thank you very much. I've got to catch a plane to Europe tonight, so I'm going to have to leave you a little bit early, but thank you for honoring me here tonight. Thank you.